Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of In the Stress of Podcast, where I talk about nonsense in the comfort of my childhood bedroom. Welcome to season 6. First of all, I'm so grateful to be here. Wow. The little snapping thing, if you ever hear the snap on the audio version or see it on the video version, it's just simply because I did not have time to edit that out. Girl, I record these episodes so late. It's like 3 a.m. And today we're doing a podcast in pain. It's going to be really great today, guys. This is if you're on YouTube, this is a Tori exclusive. Okay, you're getting exclusive content right now. This is what I'm painting. I know, high ambitions. I'm not really that great of a painter. However, it's been an emotional beginning of the year for me, and I just need to find new ways to really get the creative energy out. And I was like, it would be so great if I could just sit and paint on the podcast today. And because I am my own boss, yes, that is what I got my degree in, being my own boss, essentially. I was like, I'm going to do what I want and I'm going to paint on the podcast today. So you're not going to see me paint actually visually. I'll show you the end results and you can kind of guess what's going on at the bottom. I don't have that kind of camera setup. You know what I'm saying? The budget for the podcast is quite low, and the budget for the podcast is actually just $7. So anyways, I don't really know what we're going to talk about today because my life has just been so slightly tragic over the past day and a half or 2 days. And if I'm honest with you, sometimes I ask myself at the beginning of the year because there's too much happening all the time at the beginning of the year for me. And I always just wonder girl, are we going to make it through the year? Are we going to make it? Truly, are we going to make it? And so I have to just ask myself that, at the beginning of each year, because somehow my life is somehow just always in shambles. And the thing is that I am so dramatic that I never even really know when I'm just being over dramatic or when my life is actually because the way that I handle my problems is always a joke. I'm gonna have a little humor in there, but over the past day and a half, nothing has been funny to me, just tragic and traumatizing. And I'm gonna tell you what the first reason was. So first of all, if you're a new listener to the podcast, hello, I'm Tori, the host. I'm a 22-year-old girl with a part-time job, doesn't know what she's doing with her life, but I make content on the internet. So here we are, okay? Just a quick rundown. I am a little fruity, so there's that. That's important. It's an important fact for the rest of this story. Okay. So, life was okay-ish fine at the end of the year. Usually I feel like I'm going to die alone, but I had taken a step back from thinking that, I'm trying to go into the year more positively. I had matched with someone on Hinge the other day and I was like, this is going to be okay. This is going to be great. And, then the unmatch came within the new year. And I was like, oh, ooh. And that's okay. First of all, I want to get that off. I want to get that straight first. That's okay. It is perfectly fine to unmatch, I would do that kind of thing. No, I wouldn't. I would actually never do that kind of thing. It's perfectly fine, And I was like, wow, that is crazy. Wow. And so I had to take a step back and take that in. I took that in and I was like, okay, but this is why I don't be on the apps. This is why I delete the apps. This is why I'm not there. This is why I don't really talk on there. Because then, you get a little tiny bit of hope and then it's crushed. And I'm not saying that that's everybody, but I'm a sensitive girl, especially this week. I'm a sensitive girl and emotionally, I can't handle certain things at certain points in my life. And unfortunately for me, some other things were occurring in the background as that happened. So I was having a conversation with my friend about something. We were talking about emotions. I don't know. And then it ended up becoming a thing because one of my biggest pet peeves is people not listening to me when I talk because low key, I have some trauma. I have a little bit of trauma on that. So sometimes I'll be talking to my mom and then she'll be like, hold on, I'm watching TV, hold on. And then at that point, I'm like, girl, I don't really want to talk about it. And then like once she's done, like the show goes on commercial and she's like, okay, what were you saying? And I'm like, girl, I don't really want to talk now because, you know, like when I speak, like I would like to have undivided attention, you know, because I do that to other people, like for other people. And it's just like, I would like that same thing reciprocated back to me. And so when it's not, like, I get a little triggered. And that's important for the story because I don't have anger issues. Let's first of all get that out of the way. And that sounds really bad, the way I just said it. That sounds really bad. But I just like, I think that there's never really a space for me to, as a Black woman, there's not really a lot of space for Black women to be angry. And in my life personally, there's never been space for me to be angry for real. Like if I'm annoyed or irritated, I'm never really allowed to feel that way. And so that goes with like how I've grown up and stuff like that. And so how I handle it is that it just like immediately comes out. Like, so over the years, like with my friends and stuff, they were kind of like, yeah, Twirly, you get kind of angry really quick and da-da-da-da. And I was like, you know what, guys, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to work on that. And so over the years, I have done that. And the other day, like when I was already emotional, like it was that time of the month, like, girl, it was already a little too much. And then, you know, the hinge thing. And then on top of that, it was like, ooh, I just got triggered because somebody wasn't paying attention to me when I was saying something. And then when I was explaining why I was upset, then they were mad. They weren't listening and I got mad. And I obviously, because I was like, wow, because like a big thing for me is like being heard and not feeling heard in my life in certain points. That's a part of my trauma. I don't need to put that onto other people, but sometimes I do. And that's not okay, but it's something that I feel like I need to work through and something that needed to be clocked so that I can work on it. And so then that happened and then that was too much. And then the day before that, I had gone out with Mary, friend of the podcast, Mary Lauren Golden. And we were like hanging out at Chili's and talking and stuff. We were talking about like a lot of stuff. Like we were really catching up because we don't really see each other a lot in person. We'll like call and like text each other and stuff, but like it's not like I don't see her in person often. So, you know, we were catching up and stuff, and like I was telling her about all the stuff that's been going on in my life. Not like that stuff because that stuff didn't happen until the next day. Except, yeah, none of that stuff happened until the next day. And then so but like that like talk of like everything that's been going on and like catching her up in my life was very emotional. And then we ended up talking about like high school and some things that had happened back then, the people that we were and the people that we are today. And it was a whole thing and it was really nice. But then to have like that emotional conversation and then the next day to have another emotional conversation and then that other thing to happen. And then it was just like, wow, this is all too much. And then I got on TikTok the other day. Okay, so like this week, I haven't really been making a lot of TikToks. It's because I don't really have anything to say. But I had made a TikTok about a comedy special that I had watched on Netflix. Dave Chappelle had came out with at like I want to say like December 31st. It was on Netflix. And so I went to go watch it and it wasn't very good. And like for me, it was because I feel like you can be funny without being offensive. And if it takes you being offensive to be funny, then like you're not really funny. And I just voiced that opinion. And like, again, I understand that everybody has their own opinion. I think what I don't like is the lack of disrespect or like not the lack of disrespect, the lack of respect that comes with a Black woman like myself going and putting their opinion about a Black man's comedy on the internet. Because honestly, throughout like the past week or so, I started making a video like last week, like in the last year, at the end of like last year. And I was talking about why women hate men. And it's not that like I am a man hater. And like, it's not that like, I don't think, and here's my point is that I don't think that anybody wakes up and is like, I'm going to hate men today. I think that it takes something innate within a man to trigger that. And I'm not saying all men. Let me first also get that out of the way. I know great men personally. I have met some decent men. I've grown up with some decent men. And obviously this is not all men, but there are a large yeah, there are a large majority of men that don't respect women. And the thing is that you go and like you see that in so many aspects of life. So for instance, like it's kind of like I remember me and my friends would go to the library in college and we would just like sit in like the main areas of the library. And sometimes we would be around like men at desks or tables or whatever. And just, or even like if you're just going out to a restaurant or something, or listening to a podcast, which I'll get into that example in a second, the way that men talk or speak about women sometimes, some men, and I'm not going to say some men for the rest, I just needed to get that out of the way. Okay, so the way that men talk about women publicly in public spaces is absolutely disgusting and disrespectful. And what gets me is that, and the thing is, I don't spend a lot of time around white men. So really my comments are being based off of what I'm seeing from Black men on the internet and what I'm hearing of the conversations that they have in public. And even like, yeah, white men do this too. Like they have like the whole locker room talk thing. So on this podcast I listen to, I'm a big basketball fan. So I listen to like basketball analysts and like people analyzing the game. And I listened to Gilbert Arenas' podcast, and he was like a good player when he was playing in the NBA. And like the way that he talks about women sometimes is like he'll refer to them as the work. And it's not just him, it's like him and his co-hosts and stuff too. But they refer to women as the work, and already that's like super degrading. And it's not even like about like being politically correct or being a feminist and all of those things, because I think when it comes to feminism, it's hard to be like, oh, I'm a feminist, because a lot of feminism stems from white feminism. And we won't really go into that, but white feminism is very harmful to all of society, I think I would say. But we won't really get into that right now. But like the way that men talk about women is honestly disturbing. Like the way that they refer to them. And then I ended up having a whole other conversation about how a lot of men, a lot of men refer to women as females and stuff like that. And then because I ended up seeing a tweet about this, and so somebody had replied to the tweet and was like, anybody who has a problem with a man calling them a female is like, there's something wrong with you or whatever. And I was like, the problem with women being referred to as females is that when you refer to a woman as a female, you're taking like the person out of their body. Like you're just referring to them as an object, objectifying them. And women are constantly objectified, whether it's in regular life, whether it's in media, whether it's in literally anything in the world. Women are constantly being objectified, and that objectification just shows that like a lot of men are not interested in taking care of women. And a lot of this conversation upsets me, because it's like people are always like, okay, well, what if that was your mom? What if that was your sister? And it's like, it shouldn't take somebody being your mom or your sister or closely related to you or being like a friend of yours for you to care about a woman's life, for you to care about a woman's feeling, for you to care about a woman's thoughts. And so why I'm saying this is about to lead back into the video. So I had made a video about Dave Chappelle's comedy special, and I was like, it wasn't very good. And to me, it wasn't. And this wasn't even like, I didn't really belly laugh at any point during that special, one. Two, I thought a lot of the joke setups were sloppy. Like I've said before, like I'm conversationally funny. It takes a lot to go and be stand-up comedy funny. And you really have to put in a lot of work to do that. And I can recognize that he has put in a lot of work, but the jokes that he made were offensive and they weren't funny. And the thing is that you can have like a little bit of an edgy joke, but just because you're offensive doesn't make something funny. And so when I said I didn't like it, and here's why, and I said I didn't like some of the jokes weren't set up very well, and some of the jokes were offensive because he did talk about disabled people, and I just didn't find that funny. Like, it just wasn't funny. And I mean, like, he was kind of like, oh, and people were like, you can make jokes about them because, you know, like they can take a joke and da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's just like, okay, yeah, that's fine if somebody can take a joke, but just because somebody can take a joke doesn't mean that you should be making them. And furthermore, to go back to the whole conversation, to the conversation as a whole, is that I feel like a lot of people forget that their words have meaning and like come with weight and impact. And low key, that's very like hypocritical of me, because I do commentary on pop culture. And so that means sometimes talking about celebrities, sometimes talking about certain things. And like, I understand that those words have weight, and I would never like intentionally hurt people. And I think that like, this is where things are really tricky, because it is like, I do enjoy talking about pop culture stuff, and I do enjoy sharing opinions and having conversations with people on the internet about those things. But at the same time, it's also like, if it were me and I saw somebody else commenting that stuff, that would hurt my feelings. But then we always have conversations about, you're rich, da 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 da, you should get offline and you need to get out of there. And the thing is that as badly as I would like want to like be like, I just gonna be better and I'm gonna stop talking about those people, I have to be realistic that I'm not going to do that. That's how I get views. That's how I get people to watch my content. That's how I get people to comment and interact with me and engage. And for me, I think that that's hard, because like the comments were not very nice to me on that Dave Chappelle video, or the one where I was talking about men referring to women as females, and somebody commented something like, being called black is hurtful too if you don't like what's in the mirror. And I was like, first of all, like, honestly. And the thing is that I had told somebody to fuck off in the comment section, blocked. And then TikTok was like, violation, you broke the guidelines. And I was kind of like, bro, like, I can't defend myself in my own comments. Like, these are my comments. And the person was rude, because I don't even remember what they said. It was like something like, you're too black to be offended, which first of all, doesn't make any sense. How anybody can be offended. It doesn't matter what race you are. Secondly, just because I'm black, like, I just don't really understand what the thought process was behind that. Like, it was a stupid comment. It was illogical. Like, it actually didn't make sense. You're too black to be offended. If anybody can be offended, what does me being black have to do with it? Like, if the point that was trying to be made was that, like, oh, you're black, you should be able to take a joke, why should every black woman have to take an offensive joke? That's really more so the question. Why should I, as a black woman, have to be able to take somebody's joke just because I'm black? There's no answer to that, because it was an illogical comment to make in the first place. And so then, there was that one. And then the one about being black is hurtful. I understand what they were trying to say. They were trying to say, you're a female. So like, you're a female. And obviously that would hurt you if you don't like what's in the mirror. But never once in that conversation, when I said that nobody likes to be referred to, that a lot of women don't like to be referred to as a female because it's disrespectful. And in the video, I said, me saying that that's disrespectful should be enough to make somebody stop. That should be enough to make somebody be like, oh, hey, like, that's a good enough reason. But for men, that's not enough of a reason. And what's crazy is, if a man came and said, I feel disrespected, immediately it would be, hey man, like, valid. It's the constant validation of men's feelings and the constant invalidation of women's feelings that is hurtful. And then it's a lot when black men are like, hey, like, you guys never stand up for us and you guys are always talking down on us. And it's like, you literally actually don't respect me. If somebody were about to shoot me in the middle of the street, you wouldn't have a problem with it. Because I'm not your mom, because I'm not your sister, I'm not your aunt. Like, you actually genuinely hate women. And that's just a lot. That's just a lot. And when you go and try to have those conversations, it's, again, they're never listening because they don't care about what they're doing to other people. And men, not all of them, some men do not care about how they're treating women. Like, we all know, because when you break it down, let's really sit here and have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. When you break it down, the people who are on top are always men, okay? The patriarchy, not to be that girl with the words, but we need to have this discussion because boom, we got the patriarchy, right? So men are going to be in charge. So boom, the beginning of America, white men in charge. And then, once quote unquote, the slaves were set free, quote unquote, because we have sharecropping amongst other variations of slavery. Anyways. And so then we have that, and then black men get, I think it was a type of voting, but it wasn't the full, you weren't going to get like a full vote. I think it was like 1/4, something like that. I don't know. I'm sorry. I should have fact checked that. I'm wrong for that. I know I was talking about this on the podcast today. I'm sorry, y'all. I ain't got the numbers. Google it. Anyways. So then you have that. So then right there, boom, men are above. So then that's when Elizabeth Cady Stanton, something like that. That white woman, she was racist as hell, but we're not going to get into that right now. Old girl was like, I want my voting rights too, ho. She didn't say that. That was my interpretation. That was my version of it. But she was like, I want my voting rights too. Because why did the black men get to vote? Essentially, I know she said that. I know it. She probably didn't say that publicly, but that's what she was thinking. And she was like, women deserve the right to vote. But she was talking about white women. Anyways, but she got it. And so then, boom, now we have it. White men at the top, black men. So any type of man is at the top, but for the most part, like hierarchy wise, if we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, it's like white men. And then anybody who's like a passing white, then I don't really know. And then any minority, because we're not going to rank minority. That seems wrong. That seems a little, that we're not going to do that. But it's like that. Okay. So boom, men still at the top though. No matter what kind of man you are, you're right there. So then we have women, and women already down over half a peg, okay? Just because they're women, and men just, it's really, we have a lot to unpack in society, but men think lowly of women. We have to be honest with ourselves. When we're talking about these men who are disrespecting women and their bodies and objectifying them and having these conversations about them, because notice when people are referring to women as female, all females is always in reference a lot of times to sex or a relationship or a behavioral issue, quote unquote. A common, not really common, but like a common behavioral issue that they've noticed within a pattern of the women that they are around or they date or they have sex with, whatever you want that to be. That's typically the time when women are referred to as females. And so it comes down to we won't get into that yet. Hold on. Let's put a pin in that. So boom, women. So then when we talk about women, we have the Elizabeth Cady Stanton thing. So boom, white women. So white women above all else. Boom, white women. Then black women are at the absolute bottom because and don't be dark. Ooh, girl, because that colorism is going to get every time. And I hate to say that. I hate that colorism is still an issue within the community, but it is. And anyways, and so then you have, boom, like I said, women, white women are at the top, black women at the lowest. They are the most marginalized because not only are they women, they're also black. And then once you go and grab the intersections, and if you don't know what an intersection is, it's different characteristics. We're talking about like social class. We're talking about race, gender. We're talking about sexuality. We're talking about gender identity. Those are the intersections, some of them. And we talk about those things. The most marginalized woman would be a lower class, single income, dark-skinned black woman. And that's just not right. Already people who are lower class are already treated badly enough. But also don't be black and don't be a woman on top of that. And also on top of that, don't be gay. Also on top of that, don't have a differing gender identity. Because like all of those intersections that come together, like in a patriarchal sense, it puts you further down in the totem pole. And that's the problem. That's the problem. That hierarchy in general should not exist. But the fact that it does, and the fact that men are never really thinking about the people who are lower than them and respecting them and giving them. And this is why women want that equal playing field so badly. When it comes to being paid at work, when it comes to just treatment in general in society, it comes down to stuff like that. It comes down to men, just regular men. Some of them, not all of them, like I've said before, but I have to clarify. It comes down to some men not being able to take a step back and recognize that there are people who are being treated poorly and aren't being respected in every aspect of their life. So the last thing that we need is for a man who doesn't even know how to do his own laundry, who doesn't know how to scrub between his butt cheeks, to come over here and talk about and referring to us as females and not giving us respect. Because if we're honest with ourselves, every human deserves respect. Like bare minimum. Like, I may not like some people that I know that I've encountered in my life, but I treat everybody with respect. Like, may I have like a little attitudinal behind the things that I say? Yeah, maybe. Maybe I need to work on that kind of thing. But doesn't change the fact that people deserve respect. But I'm not gonna go too much deeper into that. But anyways, the comments were a bit nasty to me. And I was ready for the smoke that day that I posted it. However, I was in a completely different headspace today, though. So by the time that those comments got to me, and I'm always, for the most part, checking my TikTok numbers and stuff like that. And so this year, one of my things was already that I wanted to be on social media less. Like, I want to keep creating the content and stuff, but I need to spend less time on my phone in general, because I did enjoy reading that Hunger Games book that I discussed in the last episode. And I want to get back into reading. I just need to take in more words, more ideas, more stories, so they can help me in other aspects of my life. Like when it comes to like music and writing and creating and other stuff. And so that just means like, taking time away from something and something to create time for and space for that, for stuff like painting or like reading or writing or whatever. And that means, taking time away from something, and something that I definitely need to be taking time away from is social media and my phone in general. Because as I stated before, I just said all that, and really I said this a couple episodes ago, but once you start like getting like a little bit of a following on social media, even if it's just like a little bit, you don't even have to be rich and famous. Like, you kind of have to take a step back on those comments a little bit. You have to take a step back from that phone, because you will get your feelings hurt. And I did get my feelings hurt, and I've gotten my feelings hurt before, but I think in my head, I want to believe that it's not going to happen to me. Like, I'm not going to get my feelings hurt. I'm strong enough. But typically, had somebody said those things, I would have just deleted the comment and gone about my day, or I would have argued back. But I was already in a bad headspace, so that actually didn't happen. But like I said, got my feelings hurt. It's kind of my own fault. But at the same time, it's kind of just like people are really nasty, and like if I'm gonna like go and do big things in the future, like that's just something that I have to get used to, because like I said before, it doesn't mean just because I recognize that that's a problem doesn't mean that I'm necessarily gonna stop doing it, because again, that's how I get engagement, that's how I get content, like talking about celebrities, which it is eat the rich. I never felt bad for a rich girl, okay? I never felt bad for a rich person. But, well, actually, not never, but rich people problems aren't mine. So, kind of hard to, it's sometimes it's hard to empathize with the rich, because they be doing some sloppy stuff. It's kind of like how Taylor Swift and, God, I'm wrong as hell for that. But it's kind of like how Taylor Swift, because she's actually a climate terrorist, it's kind of like insane how she just be in that little private jet. Like, she just, like, I get, like, she has her man and stuff, but, like, girl, can we get a grip a little bit? Like, she's actually wild as hell for, like, always going out to Kansas and taking her little private jet everywhere to go see her man. And the thing is, like, okay, girl, like, if you got the coin, like, spend it on your man. But it's also like, girl, like, you go and fly around the world a lot. I don't really know. Like, girl, you're putting a lot of carbon emissions out there in the environment over there. And the thing is, I took like a little science class about that. And I kind of just be sitting here like, girl, like, you need to tighten up a bit. Like, I don't know. She needs to work on that real bad. Cause and the thing is, I'm not like a Taylor Swift fan like that. So like, I don't know, but she definitely I need her to be a little stronger without that man. Like, I know you want to go support your man and stuff. Okay, well, just stay there then. Because, like, the world is hot as hell. It was warm as hell on Christmas Day, babes. And I think it's time that she needs to be brought in on that conversation. Cause like, girl, what are you doing? Like this is what I'm talking about. Rich people are living completely different lives than us. Like when it all comes down to it, Elon Musk is going to get up in that SpaceX ship and he's going to Mars, babes. And if he doesn't go to Mars, he going to float around up in the sky. Like, We're living different lives than rich people, and that's why it's kind of okay to shame them. That's why. Anyways, enough about that. I did not expect this podcast to go where it did today, but I'm glad that it did because, like I said, I ain't have nothing to talk about today. But anyways, back to my emotions. And let me honestly bring this mic down a little bit because I am painting, and it's like the sound, it wasn't carrying right. Anyways, but furthermore, I was just hella emotional today, and I was like, this was actually nasty work because I haven't had like a bad day like that in a while. And so like low key, when you like, when I think about life, I think about it as like waves on the beach. You know, we've all been to the beach. So it's kind of like, you know, like there are those days when you go and, you know, the waves are rumbling up on the shore, like when you're standing over there just right on the shoreline and, you know, the water's just coming up and it's nice and everything. And then, you know, there's those really windy days where, or, you know, if you go further back in there, you know, people got their boogie boards and got their paddle boards and they're surfing. Like if you go back further enough, like far enough, you know, you can, like the waves get bigger, you know, and like a lot of times life feels like that. Of like constantly going in and out of the water at the beach. And, you know, sometimes for long periods of times you have those days where like, you know, the waves crash a little bit. Like you weren't exactly on the shoreline where it just, you know, comes onto your feet and it just feels nice. But you're like a little bit further over there, you know, like, you know, you're just kind of, they're rocking you a little bit, but you're still standing firm. And then there are days or periods of time when like there's those big waves that crash and you lost your footing and you fell over, like girl, like you had to get back up. And you know, like obviously like you weren't drowning, but for a second there you were underwater. And how it relates to life, for a second there you were like in a space of growing and learning. And the thing for me is that like this year and like the end of last year, I was really just like, I need to get out of my comfort zone because, you know, people talk about like how you grow the most when you're out of your comfort zone. And I was like, I think this year, or not this year, but like I was like, at the time that I heard that, it had really struck a chord with me. You know, it's kind of like you hear your parents say stuff all your life and like you hear them give you advice about certain things. And then like one day you hear it when you really need to hear it and it clicks. It was kind of like that. And so I was like, yeah, like that's something that I really want to work on. Like I want to be growing and learning so that I can, you know, go and live my purpose and do good things and big things and great things and the things that I dream about and the things that I'm passionate about. But the things that come with that are like a lot of uncomfort and a lot of, not uncomfort, but a lot of discomfort and not a lot of bad days, but a fair amount of them. And so it had been a little bit of a while since I had been like down that bad. I took a nap though when I came home before I recorded the podcast, ate a snack, and then got on the mic. So like I'm feeling better. It was just like really bad though. But at the same time, it was really bad and hard. And I felt actually really bad. And I can't really like express the feelings because they were very intense. Like it's like a mixture of anger and like disappointment and like the fact that it was anger about like the things that are going on in my life, yes, but it was also like disappointment in myself for not being able to like, or not being able to, but like not being strong enough in those moments to not let those things affect me as deeply as they did. But I am also a person who like puts down their emotions a lot. And when I do that, obviously nothing good ever comes of that. But I've just always push down my feelings. So learning or unlearning that behavior is hard. And it sometimes can be hard to like feel emotions or feelings in the moment instead of just like being like, oh, it's whatever. Because sometimes, like for me at least, when like just one bad thing happens, like it's easy to like push that off. But then when like stuff is happening to you back to back, like they did like in the past like day and a half, it's harder to ignore and it's harder to like push those feelings down. So I think that that's really what it was. I don't think that it was really necessarily that like, it was just like all of those things happening at once weren't helpful. And I really don't know where to put those feelings or where to put those emotions. Like I don't, and I try my best not to project those feelings onto other people. Sometimes I do. And obviously, again, that's something I need to work on. But there are also times when like, I'm just like, don't project those feelings onto other people. But like also like not being in a space, because I was at work by the time I was like feeling everything. And it was like, oh, like this is not, I don't feel safe enough here. I don't think I would ever feel safe at a job to cry. But like, I was like, I don't feel safe enough here to cry. And so I didn't. But now like the feeling has kind of passed, but like, I know I need to cry, but like, it's so hard to get myself to cry because I actually told myself when I was younger for a little bit that crying is for the weak. And I have honestly been facing demons for saying that to myself ever since, because like now it really is hard for me to cry. I need my ruler. I don't even think I have my ruler. It's too far away. I just need a straight edge. Sorry. Anyways. But yeah, I just think like it just gets like, oof, kind of sort of really bad and hard with emotions and with feelings. But again, I think that like looking back on the emotion and not saying that I'm like over the feelings or anything, but I think that like, again, those hard times are so important for your growth. Like that was very uncomfortable. All those things happening to me were very uncomfortable, obviously. And I think that this was, and like I'm clocking that and making note about it so that the next time that happens, I can handle it better. I can handle it differently. And hopefully in the future, I'll be able to not necessarily conquer, because I think that no matter where you are in life and no matter how much money you have and no matter whatever the circumstances of your life are, like you're always going to have bad days. Like you can be up good. You could have like the love of your life in your life and you could just be just living large. You could have money and you could have a stable job and you could have all of the things. But like, regardless, at some point, like there's always going to be something that's going to make you have a bad day. And I think that if you're able to like, know what you need in those moments, that's what makes it okay. That, like you're like, okay, I can do this. Like I can make it through this moment. And I did need a pep talk today. I did. I was talking to a couple of my friends, and I did need them a couple of times today. And I was like, hey, like, here's what's going on. And, I have some great people in my life. So they were able to give me a nice little pep talk that I needed. And like I said, super duper grateful for them. Thank you, Serena, friend of the podcast. And yeah, I think, like I said, like a couple of days ago, I'm enjoying and liking the person that I'm becoming. It's just, it does take a lot to become that person, even though I don't know who that person is yet or like what that entails for me. I know it's just going to take a lot to get there. And I try again. And really, I didn't beat myself up too badly, because I am trying to give myself more grace and like treat myself like I treat my friends, because like I'm so like I really pride myself on being a good friend and trying to make sure that I respect people's boundaries and that I set my own boundaries and limits and stuff. And I didn't beat myself as much up today. I tried to give myself grace, and I was like, I'm gonna let me feel these emotions today or for the rest of the day or however long they last. But like really tried to remind myself that I was not those emotions, that I'm not my feelings because I feel them. I'm not my thoughts because I think them. Like, but sometimes it takes a minute for like, sometimes you just have to let the feelings like pass. You have to just feel them. And sometimes it can be really hard to let them just exist because they're a lot. But yeah, I didn't do too much on me today. Really tried to be nice to me because I really need that sometimes. And so the pep talks from my friends were really great. And again, I'm just really grateful to have people in my life who care about me. Whether that's like, you know, like my actual family, or whether that's like my chosen family, quote unquote, or whether that's, you know, just like acquaintances or like coworkers and stuff. Like, I just feel like there's something to learn from everybody in your life. And I just feel like I'm doing those things, and I think that I'm doing a pretty okay job at them. And so, yeah, I'm just, life is, it's lifing. But like I said, last week, the podcast is definitely just, I just want people to understand that life is hard in different ways for everyone. And I just want people to feel like less alone about like struggling with those things. But yeah, anyways, guys, we're making progress on the painting. I have to draw it first before I can paint it. I actually don't know if I'm going to finish it this episode because, and if you're on YouTube, you're getting exclusive content right now. I am working overtime to get people to watch these YouTube videos because like I'm really selling the product. I should have took that sales job because I did have like a job lined up before I got my actual job. I was going to be like on a sales team, but like I didn't. And here's the thing. I don't want to be on somebody's sales team. Like, I'm not that girl. Like, I'm coming out of it a little bit, but not completely. I'm a little socially anxious girl. And I'm not really the girl. I'm not really the girl for that job, honestly. I'm just not. And I recognize that. And I'm taking it in, and I'm accepting it. But I'm not really built to be selling people AT&T fiber or like literally anything else. So when those jobs were coming to me, I was like, this is like things I know I don't want to do that. I don't want, like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I really don't. But I know that is not in the cards. Like, as long as I have something to say about it, it is not in my fucking cards, bro. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. But to the people who do, congrats to you, but it could never be me. Anyways, but I really honestly have no clue like what I'm going to do next. I was like, like I'm thinking about, because, I have to just have I have to get a job lined up. And I'm not really going to go into why I need to have another job lined up, but I just need to have another job lined up. And it's really hard to be like focusing on what I'm going to do next, or it's really hard to focus on what you're going to do next in your life when you're actively still trying to be present in the version of your life that you have right now. And I'm not going to lie, I've really been struggling with that a little bit because it is hard to be present in these moments while trying to think about what I want for the future. And when you also don't know what you want for the future, that's also tough. But I just really, I don't know, whatever I do next, I just hope that it's fulfilling, honestly, because I can't really have another job where I feel unfulfilled, because I'm just somebody who does everything like 100% with my entire chest. and like full, like 100%, like I'm going to give it all I have. And that comes like with emotions too. So like, I just can't have another chicken salad chick job where, or again, any job for this matter. Like, I just can't have another job where I feel like, I'm not cared about, or like my opinion isn't cared about. And I understand that that's like the bottom line for a lot of people and for a lot of companies, but that's just not how I'm envisioning my life anymore. And I'm going to be honest, I kind of just refuse to be a slave to that mindset at this point. Like, I think like to ask humans to sit back and like just do stuff for the company, like the way that like business and like corporate America is like personified is honestly concerning, because why are we discussing the company as an entity? Because I know that it is an entity, but like, again, that's kind of why America is the way it is now. Like, that's kind of why the US is kind of like a fucking shit show, is because we do too much personifying of objects and money and caring about the output. Sorry, I'm opening the paint. ASMR. Wow. Oh my God. Wow. ASMR. Anyways, but it's kind of crazy to sit back and like consistently ask people to like do all of this work and to give their lives to like, or to give so much of their lives to something that, and so much of their time, like something for me that is really hard, because like, I don't envision working. Like, this isn't like, obviously whatever I do, I'm going to have to work. First of all, let me get that out the way. When I say that, that's not what I mean to never work. Well, the idea for me is to never work for anybody. It'd be really great to never work though. But like, I mean, like, I want to be doing something where I feel like it, where like it doesn't feel like a job for me. So like, AKA, I won't say making content, because I've discussed why I would never want making content to be a full-time job for me. But like, when it comes to like music and stuff, like I would love for that to be a full-time job for me, because it's something that I love and I enjoy doing. And obviously like it is difficult to love something when it's your job, but that is, again, something that I have always wanted to do. So I don't think that I would mind, at least not in the beginning. But anyways, again, back to what I was saying. Sorry, I dropped a paintbrush. ASMR. I just don't think that anybody really like envisions working, like, and like it kind of takes you to start doing it to realize that, or at least not working. I think what I don't want is like, I don't like working for other people who don't care about like what other people have going on or what they're going through. Yeah, that's what it is. Because like when we're doing that and when we're going through stuff like that, it's just like sometimes you just really want like your opinion to be heard, and then for you to go and like have conversations to like higher ups or like your boss about stuff like that, and they just genuinely do not care. That sucks. Like, it sucks to know that people are actively not caring at all what you have to say, what you think, what your emotions feel like, and to give so much of your time to something, and then you know that like the people don't care at all what you have going on. And again, like you could definitely say, okay, well, that's like every job, like that's every job. And like, yeah, it is. And that's kind of the problem. Like the fact that that's what's to be expected at every job that you're ever going to go to is for you to go and put, give all of your time to something just for them to sometimes go and lay you off, or for them to not care about your input, whether it's to help the company or not. Just sit down and do the work and shut up. That's a problem. And then we're supposed to sit here and be okay with that for the rest of our lives until we retire, which a lot of us won't be retiring. because by the time, like, I know for me, unless I, like, stuff starts coming up for me, like, you know, like big things, like, I'm not retiring because all of the money for Social Security is going to be gone. Like, it's like I'm sitting here working, putting in stuff for Social Security that I'm never even going to be able to touch. These are the problems that the people are talking about. These are the problems that the young people are seeing, and we're just supposed to sit here and be okay with it. And, like, the answer to that is no. Like, I'm supposed to sit here and be okay with it, and I'm not. And I'm not going to shut up about not being okay with it. And I think that's what's so great about Gen Z. You can say what you want about the Gen Z queens. I am a Gen Z. I'm Gen Z, but, like, I grew up and talked to older people in my life for the most part. So, like, not too much on me. But, like, you know, you go and you hear, like, all of these things that people have going on, and you're like, girl, well, what am I supposed to do? And you're supposed to go and, you know, like, give everything, like I said, you're supposed to go and give everything that you've got to these companies, but the company doesn't care about you, so why would I care about it? I think that that's more so the question that people should be asking. And then what really gets me is people are always talking about company culture. And I'm just like, and, like, honestly, like, company culture is important to me and, like, something that I look for when, like, I'm applying to jobs and stuff. But it's still like, you could literally look me dead in my face and tell me what the company culture is. But a lot of times what you think the company culture is, it's not that. Like, and, like, that's what I think also sucks about corporate and, like, businesses and stuff, is that a lot of, like, people who do, like, run entities and businesses and stuff are never really, like, intentional or, like, honest about, like, the stuff that's actually going on. Like, and, like, obviously you wouldn't go and, like, you're trying to sell me on the idea of wanting to work there. So, like, you wouldn't go and tell me that you have, like, a lot of problems going on amongst coworkers and stuff. But it's kind of just like, if you're not real enough to sit down and have a conversation about that with your employees, or, like, talk about how that could affect the company in the future, it's kind of like, how am I supposed to expect you to take that seriously? And then what's crazy is, a lot of these companies, I don't know if they think we're stupid or that they just know that we're desperate for, like, jobs and stuff. But, like, you can easily go into any environment, like any new job or whatever. You can easily go into any environment and quickly pick up on the fact that, like, the culture's bad there, or, like, that people don't like each other, or that there's, like, shady stuff happening. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to go into a situation and be able to read the room. Like, I will say some people don't have common sense. I will say that some people aren't able to read certain situations, but if you see enough situations, you're able to put the pieces together. And like I said, like, I can't do that. Like, there's, like, a little too much that goes into, like, working in an office. Like, there's too much, like, oh, hey, oh my gosh, hi, what's up? And, like, there's too much faking for me. And if I'm honest, I'm not really a girl. I'm not really a girl who does that. I'm going to say what's on my mind, and if I don't say it, you're absolutely going to be able to tell exactly what I'm thinking. And I just really struggle with that. But yeah, that's what I needed to say about that. Let me think about something else to talk about. The painting, I'm finally painting, guys. I don't think that I'm going to finish this in time for the podcast. But you know what? I'll keep going after I end the episode, and then I'll just show you guys next week, and then you guys can just tell me how great I am in the comment section. Anywho, I'm trying to think of something else to talk about, because I don't really want the episode to be over yet, because it doesn't really feel long enough. And I honestly, like, I want the episode to be good. I want it to be entertaining. Girl, sometimes I move, my mouth moves too fast. And I want to be, like, entertaining and stuff, but I know that, like, sometimes it's just not in the cards. Like, sometimes you just have to go out there. You just have to give it your best. You have to give it your all, you know? Like, sometimes you just have to go out there and do your best. And that just has to be enough. And I think low key, my mom would tell me that before I would go to school, and I'd be worried about, like, a test or something. And she'd be like, just go out there and do your best. And you know, like, we love you no matter what. And like, low key, she really just wanted me to do good. She didn't want me to do, my best was not going to be good enough sometimes. But, that's besides the point. I just think that like sometimes your best has to be good enough. Like, if this is the best episode that I can give you this week, that just has to be good enough, I think. I really think that it just has to be good enough. But anywho, but I just get nervous to put these out because there was that one episode, like the first episode that I did, I like clickbaited it and people were like, oh my gosh, I really enjoyed it. This was good in the comment section. And then I went and posted again the next week and I just felt like I didn't give the same energy. I felt like people just didn't like it and it also just didn't have as many views. And again, this is a reason why I need to get off of the internet. I should not be, and I won't say I shouldn't be caring that much about like views and stuff, because at the end of the day, like I've said before, like people just want their work to be acknowledged. And like when it comes to this social media stuff, like that's what I want. Like I want my work to be acknowledged, and how that gets acknowledged is like through views and through like various other things. But anyways, and like I've said, like this is just that slippery slope of like, I want to be great at everything that I do. And like, I'm a bit of like, I won't say I'm a bit of a perfectionist because I am, but like I am a perfectionist. And I feel like a lot of people are when it comes down to things that they care about. And I feel like I will be good at like the things that I'm passionate about and the things that I want to do in my life. But with that being said, that doesn't stop it from me feeling like the stuff that I do isn't good enough. And I think that if I could become okay with like sometimes like putting out like stuff that I'm not too proud of podcast wise, then I could like, maybe life could be okay for me. But then it's just like, but then when I think about, and when I say stuff like that, I'm like, why would I want to accept less than like I know I'm capable of? Like, but at the same time, it's like with this podcast in particular, the whole idea is for like it to not be perfect, because nobody's perfect. And obviously the point of the show or the podcast or whatever is that like we're all struggling in life and we're all going through stuff. And like sometimes you just need to know that other people are struggling in life too. And if that's the point, then every episode doesn't have to be great. I don't have to be 100% the greatest. I don't have to always be entertaining. I don't always have to be perfect or feel like I'm putting out my absolute best content all the time, because in life, like you're not always giving your best performance. Like if somebody was giving me a grade on my life for like the past day and a half, I would honestly probably get like a B-. I'm not going to do too much on me. Like I probably get like a B-. And like for me, I don't ever want to think that I'm not giving A+ work, but like these past few days have been actually quite tragic. And like, so it's okay to not always have your best performance. Like people be down bad as hell in life. Like people be out here fighting demons for real. Like, and I'm over here like making a podcast and worried about like, oh, was it entertaining enough? Was it good? Like sometimes, and I hate to say this, sometimes stuff isn't about how good it is. Now hold on. I am a quality over quantity person. However, when I think that for me and for this podcast, I think that I have to, I won't say manage my expectations because that sounds terrible, but in a way I do have to manage my expectations, and I have to like, when I really sit back and ask myself logically, when I'm not in a bad headspace, how am I measuring the success of this podcast? I have to sit back and ask, like, tell myself, like, girl, first of all, you don't have a following like that. Like, the people who listen to this podcast, for the most part, either accidentally clicked it one day or they heard about it from me yapping. And if they didn't hear it from me, they heard it from somebody else when I was yapping. So it's kind of just like, my metric of how I determine the success of these episodes and how I determine this podcast, I really need to calm down a little bit, because I'm just sitting here like, oh, it would be so great to get like 100 views on something. And it's just like, girl, you are a 22-year-old who just goes and naps on the internet once a week. We need to be serious with ourselves. Five views, 4 listens on Spotify, like that's okay. Like, does it hurt that it used to be like 60? And maybe we could have grown some had we been consistent. Yes. But if anything, now that just makes me be like, okay, well, we need to work on consistency then, because if consistency was the issue, truly, then we can get that back. We can definitely get that back. Sorry, my computer done went to sleep. Let me wake her up after I paint this. But it's just like, girl, like, we kind of need to like really think like, okay, like, we don't really, for a girl who only has like 400 followers on Instagram, you getting these listens, and for a girl who has like a little over 7,000 followers on TikTok, like the podcast numbers are okay. Like, and sometimes you just have to remember your roots. Sometimes you just have to remember why you're doing the things that you're doing. And I think that sometimes it can be difficult to acknowledge that and to ask yourself, hey, really ask yourself, why am I doing that? What am I doing it for? And honestly, I think that if your answer is not for you, or like just because you enjoy something, because you're passionate about it, sometimes you have to take a step back and ask yourself, really, why am I doing that? Like, why am I doing this? And I think it's important to ask yourself that in like many aspects of your life, so that you can always kind of gauge where you're at. Because it's really easy to just fall into the motion of life and just do stuff because it's expected of you, or to just do stuff because it's what everybody else is doing. And because, I'm sure I discussed this at some point, but like I said, somebody wrote me a letter like a year ago. And in it was many like life lessons, like advice type stuff. But one of the things in there was to not compare yourself, or like try your best, because obviously it's hard to like not compare yourself to other people. But one of the things was like, try not to compare yourself to other people, or try to do it as little as possible. Because at the end of the day, like, it's just like this is like your life. Like, just because everybody else is doing something doesn't mean that you need to be doing it, or that you have to be doing it, like, because we're all on different paths in our lives. And like at the time, like obviously I was like, this is a very nice letter and stuff or whatever. And I was grateful to have received it. But like under the circumstances, it was really unfortunate, and I wasn't really ready or able to take in a lot of the lessons that I needed to. But anyways, I think about that letter often, and I'm just like, am I doing that? Like, am I listening to the words that were there? Like, and sometimes like people, and that's that very cliche saying of like, thief is comparison is the thief of joy. Like, it definitely is. Sorry, this paintbrush is actually really dry. Anyways, but like, yeah, comparison really is the thief of joy. And it's really easy to acknowledge that and understand that, but it's not very easy to always remember and like actively take in. So I think when I think about it in like terms of my life today, and like actually being able to like take in that but like take in those words of advice, I'm first of all grateful to have them. Grateful that there was someone in my life at one point to like give me some advice, and someone in my life who cared about like the things that I had to do in the future, and believed that I was going to do big things in the future, and that I am going to do big things in the future. But it's so easy to get caught up in like that kind of stuff because I do it all the time. And like, it really is a thief of the joy. Like sometimes it can be really hard to go on Instagram and see that everybody is getting married and they're having kids and you're just like, okay, well, I don't even, and then, you're sitting here and like people are doing that. And a lot of those things are very, very sure decisions. And I think that that's what's crazy to me is that a lot of the decisions that people make and are making in their lives right now that I've known and grown up with is that like they're very sure decisions. Like getting married is such a sure decision to me. Having kids is such a sure decision to me because a lot of those things mean that like that's going to take up a lot of your life. Like when I think about having a kid, when I think about getting married, like those are very sure things in my life. When I think about getting married, I hope to be with that person for the rest of my life. And if I am with that person for the rest of my life, then like I said, that's a very sure decision. If you have kids, like you're going to be taking care of those kids for the rest of your life. Like as long as they're alive and you're alive at the same time, like you're going to be taking care of those kids. Again, a very sure decision. And we're not talking about just 18 years. Some people do kick their kids out at 18. I wouldn't do that. But it's just like, again, a very sure decision. And to see so many people your age making such sure decisions about who they're going to spend their life with. And obviously divorce happens. We're not talking about that right now. But like to see so many people your age making sure decisions of who they're going to spend the rest of their life with, like how many kids they're having, whether they're having 4 or 5, 2, 3, 1, like it doesn't matter how many they're having. Like that's a very sure decision. And it is crazy to see other people, again, like I said, making sure decisions when you're unsure about the decisions that you're making in your life, when you're unsure about the things that you're doing. And like for me, that is really rough. And it's not even so much that it's a comparison that I'm just like, it's not even so much that I'm like wishing or yearning for that life. Because I'm perfectly fine with not having a kid. Like I'm perfectly fine with not being married. I'm fine with that on my own. It's just like, what's hard is, and I think where the comparison is for me, is not knowing what I'm doing. And from the outside, very important, from the outside looking into the people who are making these sure decisions, it looks like they're so sure. And it's crazy because I'm like, how did you end up so sure at the same age and time as me? And I'm so unsure. And I'm thinking about that right now. And I'm like, is that an insecurity thing? And I don't think that it is. I think that, again, from the outside looking in, everybody seems sure. But sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, I'm not saying a lot of the time, sometimes you go and look closer at those relationships, at whatever's going on in people's lives, career, whatever they're focusing their life on. You go and look at those things, or you go and ask those people, and you go and have a conversation with them, or you hear about them from other friends, and you find out that their life is not as great as it looks on the internet, and they're actually not as sure as they are appearing to be, or as they're coming off to be. And again, I think that that's an okay thing. Sometimes I'm like, I think that social media should not only be people's highs and lows, but at the same time, it's like that's literally the point. Like social media is supposed to be, I want to share this moment with people because it was so great to me. I want other people to see it. Even if they couldn't experience it in the moment, I want other people to see that. And it's like, yeah, like you want people to talk about their highs and lows, but it's like, why would I want to share my lows with people? Like my lows are bad. And the point of this podcast is to share my lows. But when I think about social media and that that snapshot culture, yeah, I only want people to see the happy parts because those are the parts that I want to remember. Yeah, I'm going to remember the bad stuff too. But when I think about, and when I'm happy, and when I'm talking to my kids in the future, I'm talking to other people about the things that I have in my life and the things that I'm grateful for in my life, I want them to be those things. I want to talk about those things. Like when I talk about the highlights of my life, I want to talk about those things. I don't really you want to talk about the happiness that you've experienced in your life, because so much of it can be dark and like can be bad at times. Like, and it's not like saying that like you're not grateful for the bad things that happen in your life, because again, those are the things that grow you. Those are the things that make you and shape you into the person that you are when you are having those happy moments. And those are the things in the moments that prepare you for those happy and joyful times and deciding and making those sure decisions. That's what those moments are for. But at the same time, it's still like, dang, like life was bad. It was. There were some bad moments, but the happy ones made all of the bad stuff worth it. And so I think genuinely, like when I think about it, I'm like, would I really want social media to be people's highs and lows? Like, I know that that's what it is on TikTok. You see every version of people for the most part. There's like every version of a type of person on the internet, if we're going to be honest with ourselves. And like, it's obviously not the same version, like different versions of the same person, but like, it's just different versions of people. And I think that that's really great that TikTok has made that like a thing. But when it comes to like, just checking up on what people are doing, Snapchat, Instagram stories and Snapchat stories. Like when it comes to like, people be down bad on Twitter, so I'm not even gonna say Twitter. But like when it comes to like stuff like that, it makes sense for people to only be posting about how great things are and how sure they are. Because in that moment of that happiness when they took those pictures, you hope at least that they were like happy in that moment, that they were so happy in that moment that they want to take a picture of themselves. They want to take a picture of what they saw or who they were with or the moments, or they want to take a video or whatever. And they wanted to capture that moment so much so, and they cared about it so much that they went and put it online for other people to see so that they could experience that moment. And sometimes, obviously, that becomes sometimes people like, kind of like showing off or like, putting together like an aesthetic lifestyle. But a lot more often, I think people are attempting to share just the good parts of their life. And I think that that's a good thing. I think that's a very good thing. But yeah, I don't really know where that conversation came from, but I'm happy that it popped up because I did need content for the episode. I'm trying to think of like if there's like any last minute stuff I want to add or say anything. And I will add this because it is the end of the episode and nobody probably watched this far. I have the biggest crush on Dua Lipa right now. Like, I have always loved me some Dua Lipa, first of all, because not always, hold on, because I actually be late on the wave. Like, when New Rules came out, I'm not going to sing it because that would be like a copyright strike. But like when that song first came out, like I didn't really listen to it, but I saw that it had a lot of views. And I think one day I watched the video on accident and I was like, oh my God. Like, I should have known when I was gay then. Hold on. Actually, a little bit. I should have known a little bit. Because I was like, this video is so good. Like, I was like, this video is bumping, because it was. Like, the song was catchy as hell, but like the video was amazing. Like, it was so well shot. Like, it was so like, nobody had put out a music video like that, babes. Like, Dua ate that. She ate the fuck out of that. She did. And I was like, oh, like she ate. And then like when the album came out, I remember, or it probably didn't come out just then, or maybe it did. I don't know. But me and one of my best friends at the time, I was like, girl, have you heard this Dua Lipa album? And she was like, girl, yes, isn't it bumping? And so like I heard that debut album, and like from then on, I was a Dua Lipa fan, like, but like simply a fan. And like I am still like a fan. I wouldn't say I'm a stan because I don't know anything about that woman for real. But like I was like, oh my gosh, like Dua Lipa, like she onto something. And then it was like every time I would hear a song by her, like that shit would be catchy as hell. Like the woman, she has something. Like her and them songwriters, they be in there, bro. Like, ooh, I remember the second song I heard by her was like, I can't hum it because like it's giving copyright. So let me search it. Dua, and obviously ain't nobody else's name Dua who's famous. She low-key ate the fuck out of that dude. Like, cause girl, who else's name is Dua? Nobody's. Wow, it gave icon behavior, honestly. Anyways, Let me go to albums. Here it is. First song I ever heard was obviously New Rules. And then I heard Blow Your Mind, which is a top tier song. And then I saw the video for that. And then I heard the song IDGAF. Obviously, I don't give a fuck. Okay. And I watched the video for that. And I was like, Miss Girl is on to something. Then I heard Hotter Than Hell. And I was like, let me just listen to the album. And so I did. And it was good. And I was like, that was so fun. Like, wow. And then like, that was like it said 2018 right there, but that was like the complete version. The first album came out in 2017, which I think is when I listened to it initially. I think it was like a couple weeks late on that though. Anyways, but then that's when, yeah. And then like 3 years later, Future Nostalgia came out. But what had happened was I remember I did not know about that woman like that for real. I wasn't keeping up with her because I hadn't seen the album come out. So I wasn't really keeping tabs. And she like didn't have, I think what happened was it got leaked. That's what happened. Her like album got leaked. So she released it early. And I think old girl was on the internet crying, and honestly feel bad for that girl. Like, prayers up, because I'd be pissed the fuck off if I went and worked hard on something and then like somebody went and leaked it. Like, hooker. And I think it was about to come out soon. So like, you kind of just did that. You just did that to do it. That's a little nasty. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little nasty. But anyways, I was like, dang, I like love me some Dua Lipa. Anyways. And so then she released the album like that next night or like that night or like 2 days after that. And it was like an old girl has been living off of the success. Well, it was just 2020. So anyways, it was during that pandemic, that pesky pandemic. And old girl has really just been like living off of that album's success for the past like 3 years. And honestly, well deserved, because a lot of the songs on that album were so good. I remember when I first heard the album, I liked all of the songs, but I never really like listened. And then I think like in 2021, when like one of the songs, or like really a lot of the songs, like started taking off, and I was like, I really like that song. I feel like I've heard it somewhere. And then I was like, oh yeah, it was on the Dua Lipa album. And like, obviously I would hear it on shuffle sometimes, like the songs on shuffle sometimes. I just didn't like know them. But I was like, oh, like these songs are really bumping. Like she did her big one with this. And then like when they started getting famous, like, and the thing that I know like about pop music, one of my favorite things about pop artists, and this goes for like the Ariana Grandes, the Olivia Rodrigos, the Billie Eilishes, the Dua Lipas, like the Camila Cabellos, the people who are like Justin Bieber's, Shawn Mendes, like when it comes to like pop music and like real pop music, the songs that you just don't get tired of listening to ever, that's when you know you have a pop hit. And honestly, there's rarely ever a time that I'm skipping a Dua Lipa song. Like, I'm sure there are other people out there who do, and maybe they are, but like when you hear Don't Start Now, who's skipping that? Like, really, when you hear Don't Start Now, when you hear, I really liked Cool. That was probably one of my favorite songs on the album. When you hear Levitating, no baby, no the baby feature, no the baby, just regular Levitating. Like, that song is a hit. When you hear songs like Love Again, I love Love Again. That song's so good. When you hear Break My Heart, when you hear Fever, when you hear Hallucinate, when you hear Good in Bed, when you hear Boys Will Be Boys, like when you hear Pretty Please, when you hear Physical, when you hear Future Nostalgia, when you hear any of those songs, you don't skip those. As a pop lover, who I am, some people aren't pop lovers, and that's okay. But when you hear high energy songs like that, you don't skip those. You don't skip them. And I have never really experienced the I rarely skip this artist. And there's, like I said, there's very few people. Alessia Cara is one of those people. Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Dua Lipa. I'm trying to think of other people. Other people I'd be skipping for the most part. Yeah. If their R&B is still completely different, because I feel like R&B is always like, for the most part, I'm rarely skipping an R&B artist that I love. Like, I'm not talking about like a one-off song that I heard one time on the radio, and I'm not talking about those artists. I'm talking about the people that I really go hard for, like the Hers, the Chris Browns, the like Rihanna, like I've really been getting back into Rihanna's like old music. And old girl, like again, I said this a couple episodes ago, if I were Rihanna and my last work was I would not make music for you hoes either, like on God. Cause like I have to go in there, I have to sit in the studio and top that masterpiece. Forget it, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm literally not doing it. And like SZA, you will never catch me skipping a SZA song for real. At least if I know it. Let me not do too much, because if I don't know the song, I'm skipping it. But you really won't ever really catch me skipping a SZA song, because like old girl, she just has it like that. Like her pen, it pins. Victoria Monet, I'm rarely skipping one of her songs. Again, those are the R&B girls though. R&B has a different vibe to it. Now, sometimes a little pop song, you be girl next, cause like F that. But like Deja Vu plays. At one time in my life, Deja Vu was not playing without it, not getting skipped. Like we listened to that whole track front to back. But anyways, I do want to thank you guys for listening to this episode, because we are at the 1 hour and 20 minute mark, and I know that people have short attention spans, and like I just really wanted this first episode to be like a nice lengthy one. I didn't really know what I was going to come in. I didn't come into this episode thinking I was going to talk about anything important, but I feel like I had some ideas in my head I need to get off my chest. I had a lot of emotions to unpack, and so I appreciate you guys for letting me do that here. Obviously I didn't really need your permission, because it is still my podcast, but I do want to thank you for taking the time to listen. And I hope that my thoughts were coherent. And if they weren't, I will know, because I'm going to go and listen to this episode back, after I post the video and I listen to the audio, and I won't be harshly judging myself, because I just said I'm not going to do that, but I am going to go listen to it back, and, it'll tell us some things. It will. Anywho, I hope that you guys honestly had like a really great new year, because I just sat there and drank some sparkling white grape juice with my sister. And at that point, that just feels like family tradition at that point. My friends went out, and at one point, some of them were like, oh, Tori, you should come with us. And I was like, I have work. But like, I really just didn't want to go. And that's okay. I feel like it's okay to know your limits, to have boundaries. And me going out on New Year's might be a boundary. And the thing is that my friend was actually like, we need to go outside more this year. And I'm like, girl, you are so right, because we do need to get outside, me and my friend group. Like, we need to get outside, because we have been so focused on our studies the past few years that we just have not really had time to go out and have fun. And honestly, back to the Dua Lipa thing. Because I forgot that's what I was talking about. But like back to the Dua Lipa thing, like I be seeing videos, not even this year, bro. Like forget this year for a second. And let me fix my hair real quick. Forget this year for a second. Miss Dua Lipa, she be out even like I said, before this, pre-pandemic. Okay, this isn't just a now she goes outside. Miss Dua Lipa has always been at the club. She's gonna arrive to the party, okay? I don't think that people are understanding that. Miss Girl is not making dance music just to make dance music. She goes and makes dance music because she be out there dancing. And she's like, somebody has to fill the space. Somebody has to make the dance pop stuff. And if it has to be me, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do what the Lord needs me to do. And that's how we get a hit like Houdini. True story. This was actually, secretly, this was an unpaid sponsorship for Dua Lipa. It was unpaid. And anyways, like I said, and I have a little crush on Dua Lipa right now. Like, I'm just like, she's just that girl. Like, she's just that girl. And somebody was in the comment section on TikTok and they were like, I don't know if I want to be her. I don't know if I want to be with her. I don't know if I want to be her or like what it is. But like, I am just loving me some Dua Lipa. And like, honestly, true. She's eating that red hair up. Like, if you don't know who Dua Lipa is, go ahead and check that Instagram. Go Google it real quick. Like, If you ain't got Instagram, girl, if you want a social media cleanse, just Google it real quick. Girl, I'm telling you. She eating the fuck out of that red hair right now. Like, wow. Like, honestly, you know what I think it is? I think I just want to go to the club with Dua. That's what I want. I want to go to the club with Dua Lipa. Like, I feel like that would be so fun. Like, to just go out and party with her good sisses. Like, that would be so fun. And then she be posting, like, pictures on Instagram of, like, oh, like, she just be hanging out with her people in Europe. And I'm just like, bro, like, I want to go to Europe. Like, oh my gosh. And so that's really just what it is. I think that I love the aesthetics of the way that her Instagram is put together. That's what I like. That's what I like. Because I don't know that woman. So I can't say I just like Dua Lipa because I don't know that woman like that. So I really just like, she just seems to have, like, she just living her life. Like, she really just out here. Like, she's like, yes, I have money and fame, but I always got time for a fan. You want to take pictures of me? Yeah, take a picture. Please do. Like, I would love that. And see, because I saw her, I think she was in Japan, like, for the new year or something. And I think somebody had came up to her, and I saw this on Instagram Reel, and somebody was like, hey, like, you're so-and-so, can I take a picture of you? And she was like, yeah, sure. And people were in the and then like they showed her the pictures, and then, you know, she was like, oh, I love them, yes, great. But like in her, like, in her accent. And people in the comments were like, she hated that, she hated those. And honestly, like, had people not said that, I would have never even taken, like, a second guess at it. Like, do I personally think that she hated the pictures? I don't think that they were the favorite. Like, I don't think that those were, like, the best pictures she had ever seen of herself. But, like, I think that she was grateful for the person to go and, like, take their time to do that, you know, to take time out of their schedule to do that. So, yeah, but I think people did too much. And I kind of felt bad for whoever posted the video because it was probably, like, they were probably excited, you know, to have taken some pictures of Dua Lipa. And then, like, to have the internet be like, she hated them, you suck. I would actually, girl, I tell you, I would never go on the internet again. Well, I would never go on the internet again, but I did too much there. But, like, I'd be kind of sick. Like, was it really, like, I really be questioning myself, like, were they really that bad? And, like, even if they were really that bad, and I'm not a photographer, so I don't know. But, like, people were like, oh, like, you can tell by the way that she looked after she said it that she didn't really like them. And I was kind of just like, bro, like, but, like, who asked you, though? Like, oh, I would be sick as hell if that was me. I'm glad it wasn't me, but damn. Anyways, but yeah, I just love me some Dua Lipa, and I just wanted the podcast to know that. And I'm sure that I'll have a new girly crush by the end of the year, because that's just how I am. It's just how I do. I need to be better. I need to be stronger. But yeah, I'm actually finishing up the lighthouse and the painting, and I'm just gonna, like, show the painting to you guys next week. Hopefully it's not ugly and disgusting, and if it is, keep your comments to yourself. Okay, anyways, but like I said, you guys can just go tell me how great I am once I finish this painting and show you guys next week. But now you guys have something to look forward to. And honestly, you know what I'll do? I'll throw you guys a bone. If you guys really want to see how it turned out, I'll probably finish it, like, the day after this podcast is posted on YouTube or on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you listen. Like, so just go to my Instagram account, my business account. It's in the link tree that's linked below in the description of this episode. Go in there, and on my business account is going to be a picture of the painting, and I'll let you guys have a sneak peek if you go over there. My one request, though, is if you do go over there and look at the page, my request is that maybe you hit follow. Maybe you go over there and you hit follow, and I just have over there just updates about the podcast. When I post it on Instagram stories, I usually have a link. And then I just post, like, I just post pictures there that I don't post on my main account, which is a lot of pictures because I don't I don't really, my main account is very much, I just don't feel like I take enough pictures of me that look really great for them to be on my main account, but we're not talking about that right now. So anyways, also side note, if you haven't seen The Color Purple yet, you should definitely go see it. It is a musical, in case people didn't know that, because apparently people are going to the movie theaters and don't know what they're watching. So I will add that. But yeah, definitely go see that movie because it's actually good and I enjoyed it. But I do want to show you guys the painting that I have right now so far. I'm like I said, I'm a perfectionist. My lighthouse isn't that great, but I'll probably go in with a Sharpie and like clean it up a little bit. And honestly, I might just make that entire thing black, but I need to, like I said, I need to clean that up a little bit. But yeah, this is what we have so far. And I'm going to, again, post it on Instagram when I'm done with it tomorrow. And yeah, I'm excited and it's going to be great, we hope. And if not, again, who's going to know? But again, that's an hour and 30 minutes now, so I'm going to go and stop talking. But thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I really appreciated it. Yeah, I just really enjoyed this today, and I feel like this is a good episode to start the year off with. Thank you for listening if you did, and just subscribe. Come back next week, like the video if you want, leave a comment if you would like, and yeah, keep your head up. That's it. Also, I didn't get to tell you guys the motto for this year. I have a 2024 motto, and it is, anything can happen in a year. And I think that it's important that I don't really know what that means yet, a little bit. I kind of just think that, like, you know how like people get like famous overnight and like, oh, they go and do something and then, oh my gosh, it's the household name, oh my gosh. And like, obviously, like, I know that kind of stuff takes time and stuff, but I just feel like anything can happen in a year. Like, I could have like 10,000 followers by the end of the year. Like, we could really be up, guys. So we could have like 30 listeners of the podcast audio version on Spotify by the end of this year. Like, we could have 100 views by March on YouTube. We could have 300. But yeah, I think that I'm just trying to be optimistic for the year. And like I said, anything can happen in a year. So I think that goes for you too. Spreading good vibes, love, lots of love, and happiness and all the things. And hopefully there will be 52 episodes this year of this podcast, maybe a couple of bonus episodes. I'm hoping to have some guests on this year. And by guest, I really just mean my friends that say they want to do the podcast. But yeah, I'm really excited about this year and hoping to start it off strong. And I've already started off strong by posting, and that's enough right now. So thank you again for listening. If you want to check out my social media and keep up to date with me during or throughout the week, go into the link tree and you can follow me on TikTok. That's where I post the most. And then to my main Twitter, I don't really post on, and I would never tell anybody what my burner account is. But yeah, so go to social media and go like and subscribe and do all the things and follow, and it's going to be really great. But like I said, I'm going to go because I've been talking forever. So goodbye, and thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Bye.